Welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. I am Dianne. I am your lactation consultant, your IBCLC, and have been working with families for almost 20 years. I think I do a different introduction every time.
That's good. Mix it up.
I have 3 kids, a set of twins, and who are 23, and then my other son is 25. And that's it. This is like all I've done in my adult life. I was a stay-at-home mom before this. So
that's pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting stuff.
My name is Abby, and I'm the Badass Breastfeeder, and I have 2 kids, 14-year-old Jack and 11-year-old Exley, who both breastfed until 5 and 6. I have a social work background, and I now am now I do this.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're like, what job, occupation? I'm like, Jesus Christ. I don't know what this is. But today's episode is sponsored by Nursing Queen. And Nursing Queen is a badass breastfeeder owned company with stylish and functional nursing clothing designed to help you breastfeed or pump more comfortably. We will hear more from our sponsor later, but you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check out our sponsor page if you need anything. See if you can give them your business because they make this podcast possible. And while you're there, you can scroll down and enter your email address, and we will send episodes straight to your inbox every week. And we are on Patreon. And we have brought back our Revolution Parenting podcast. Podcast was created to help bring up kinder and more compassionate adults into the world. We believe that this starts at home with how we parent our children. We talk about child development, discipline, boundaries, attachment parenting, and so much more. The only place to access this podcast is in our Patreon. We have 2 tiers, and each tier has multiple benefits, including a goodie bag of Thank You for Nursing in Public cards and podcast stickers sent to your home every month. Head to the top link in the show notes under this episode, wherever you are listening from. And we're also still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet, like iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening from. Leave a review, take a screenshot, send it along with your address to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll send you one of those goodie bags of Nursing in Public cards, Thank You for Nursing in Public cards, and podcast stickers. And if you can't leave a review, share the podcast on your socials with your friends, take a screenshot, send it over, and we'll send you a goodie bag. And I'm still hustling for the breastfeeding photos. I'd love to share those on my social media. If you are okay with a photo that you that I could share, send it along to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com with a little bit about yourself or not. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
And it is short and sweet. It says, I thoroughly enjoy listening to your podcast and continue to receive great info while nursing my second son. Keep them coming. So this is cool because it doesn't matter how many babies you have. You always need the info. I was talking about that I think you and I were talking about that, really. Weren't we recently?
Maybe.
Like, I've had families that have had like 10 kids. Yeah.
Right.
And you never know, right? Like you need the extra, you need the information, you need the support. You can think you know all the things about breastfeeding, and then you have another baby and it's like totally different. So I'm glad you found us and are listening, and thank you very much for leaving that for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I have a little shout out to our last episode. Part of our Patreon community is the ability and the invitation to participate in upcoming episodes. So we are like, this next week we'll be recording episodes on these topics, and do you have any experiences or something like that we can read and help kind of bring more content to the episodes? Well, Diane and I both thought that all of these comments in Patreon were for today's episode, but one of them was for last week's episode. But that's okay. I'll read it, and then we can just direct you to last week's episode, which was our Monday's episode, which was all about normal baby behaviors.
Yeah.
But somebody in Patreon, I was going to leave this completely anonymous because it's an anonymous group where you're completely safe. She says when baby was about 3 months old, she was feeding 18 times a day, give or take. I had a bad oversupply issue in the beginning because of overpumping when baby was in the NICU. A fabulous lactation consultant told me to give one breast per feeding. This regulated my supply, but I kept only offering one side per feed and ended up over-regulating, and baby's weight gain slowed. So I started offering both sides, each feeding, and the issue resolved immediately. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's that baby was feeding a lot. That's what we talked about.
Yeah, we talked about normal things. Is it a baby behavior problem or is it a feeding problem? That's what we were talking about the other day. And it sounds like she solved her problem pretty well.
She did. Yeah. Well, she had a lactation consultant helping her, that makes the difference most of the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So definitely get one if you don't have one.
Yeah. But today
is different.
We're talking about the day in the life of a working parent. And we have a couple of working parents in Patreon who wanted to share their experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Should we start off with those?
Yeah, let's start off with those. That way we can kind of work off that.
So our first friend says, working mom here. I am lucky enough to have a very supportive office environment. When I returned from leave, my team had set me up a little pumping station with a comfy chair, table, and mini fridge. They made a funny sign to put on my office door since it doesn't lock. I know that's not the case everywhere, and I'm very grateful. When I first went back into the office, I pumped 3 times a day for about 15 to 20 minutes each. I scheduled my pump breaks in my work calendar, which helped remind me to take the break and also to not schedule things during my pump breaks. This really helped me keep to a consistent schedule, which is key. At first, I stressed a lot about pumping the same amount that baby was taking while I was at work. I was coming up short. For an example, I would pump 10 to 12 ounces in a day, but she was taking 15. And it was causing me a lot of anxiety. What I did was add a late night pump right before I went to bed. This made up the difference and helped reduce my stress about making enough. My baby is now 18 months, so she isn't taking bottles anymore, but I still pump once a day at work to keep my supply up. And I just donate it to a milk bank.
Aw.
It feels really good to give back. Pumping at work is tough and time consuming, but now that I am on the other side of it, it's only for a short time and will be over before you know it. So keep going, mamas.
Oh, I love that she does that.
I know. That's really cool. And that's a really nice working environment you've got there too, because sometimes it's just really the complete opposite. It's just very adversarial. Is that a word?
Yeah.
I know it's a word, but is that the right use? I don't know. Sometimes I'm going to use a word and then I use it and I'm like, nah.
No, that's totally good. The couple things that come to mind for me is that I don't remember how long the pumping in the workplace law, they usually cover for only a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's only a year.
Yeah.
So I would have to look. So if and she's at 18 months and they don't mind if she still continues to pump, which is wonderful because she's just pumping and donating, which is really great. So that's amazing that her workplace doesn't mind that she's still doing that.
I mean, what does it okay. What does it matter? I don't understand why places care so much. Why do they have to give people so much grief? It's so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna retain this employee longer.
Right.
Less turnover, happier, better morale. It's so dumb.
It is really dumb. I had a mom that I saw that I was pretty pretty connected to. She would go to my support group when I was running it and stuff. And then she went back to work. And I went to her workplace to see how she was doing her pumping because she was really struggling to pump at work. And it turned out to just be a stress thing. Like people would walk in on her. She had her own office.
Oh my God.
Like, and she would have a sign up too. And like the UPS guy would just walk in and be like, like nobody would bother to notice or knock or anything.
Oh my God.
And like the day she went back to work, her work employees, like her coworkers, who supposedly were breastfeeding friendly, this was a supposedly breastfeeding friendly environment, told her, oh, it's fine if you give formula. Don't worry about it. And like, oh, here's a bagel. Welcome back to work. Like totally ridiculous. And she was like, what? Like, this is my breastfeeding support. And they really came off like they really thought that they were breastfeeding supportive. Mm-hmm. And when I was there, like, because I knew some of the people that she worked with, they were like, well, you know us, Diane. We are so breastfeeding friendly here. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, people don't, it's like me giving my opinion about every single thing doesn't mean I'm not breastfeeding friendly.
Yeah.
People don't realize that that's actually not the case.
Yeah.
That makes you not very friendly.
It was just, she really struggled with that. And then they would question her, why do you have to pump every 2 hours? Why do you have to do this? Why don't you, like one of them said, why don't you just pump in the morning and get all the milk you need for the day? Because it doesn't work like that. That's why,
God.
Said a man.
Oh, yeah.
But,
right.
Just does not, like, this doesn't work like that.
They show you, there's like, on TikTok, there'll like be people like go up to like random people, like random men on the street and be like, I don't know, ask questions like to them. And like, they don't know, like they won't know that you can like, they'll be like, can you pee with a tampon in? And you're just like, okay, you don't understand anything about how the body works. Right. It's like, oh, and these are the people who are making all the laws about our bodies.
Exactly.
Anyway, should we read the next one?
Yeah, read the next one.
All right. I'm a working parent. We co-sleep, so baby helps herself to the breast throughout the night. I usually feed her in the AM at about 5:30 before I leave for work. Depending on how the day looks at work, I pump at 8:30, 11:30, and 2:30. Then I breastfeed baby as soon as we get home at about 4:45. I only pump during the work week, and baby feeds on demand whenever I'm with her. I initially used the Spectra, but one side never responded super well to it. I tried hands-on pumping and constantly ended up with clogged ducts because I get impatient and was not gentle enough with my breast tissue. I had a week where I was working offsite and was going to have to pump in my car, so I got the Willow Go and ended up responding very well to it, and it is now my main pump. At 10 months of breastfeeding, I am looking forward to the pumping journey coming to a close soon. Pumping at work has been interesting. I work in a male-dominated field, so the facilities aren't set up super well for working moms, and I have to pump in a file room. It's not super comfortable, but it's private. I have one female coworker who isn't a fan of breastfeeding and made a lot of snarky comments when I first got back from maternity leave. For example, I don't understand why you don't just give your baby formula. It has all the stuff babies need. After snapping at her several times that she doesn't know what she's talking about and isn't entitled to an opinion about how I feed my baby, she doesn't comment often anymore. Fortunately, my boss, who happens to be a man, is very supportive. He's reminded the office that parenthood is a protected class in our state and pumping at work is protected by law. Very grateful for him. Wow. Whoa. And then we had a little bit of back and forth discussion with her, and she said, I only have a couple more months. A good friend of mine breastfed her baby for a year, but she had a lot of supply struggles, so she triple fed for most of that time period. When she weaned her baby, she said she was so relieved to be untethered, and we celebrated the end of her pumping journey. I think I'll throw myself my own untethering party.
Yes. Pumping is a journey.
I know. Ending pumping, like everyone should have a party when that's over.
Absolutely.
And I always say this, I feel like I always say this, but you have to bring it outside and beat it with bats, like Office Space, like in that movie Office Space, where they take the printer outside and they beat it with bats. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Such a funny scene to the song, Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster, which is a fantastic song. And I feel like everyone should do this with their pumps.
For sure. Because you don't want it. And
I know
if you
you're
have another
supposed
baby,
to like
get a new
donate
one.
it and stuff, but whatever.
No, beat it with something. Be done with it.
Yeah.
Just throw it in the garbage can. But there's a lot there because she's doing a lot of stuff and she has a very long day, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, breastfeed at 5:30 before I go to work. What the hell time are you going to work? I know.
Yeah.
So
really.
that is crazy. And then getting home at 4:45, like that's a long day. But to have a snarky coworker.
Ugh. I hate it. And I hate it when it's the women.
Yeah, it's always them.
Stop doing this to each other.
Always.
Stop it. Yeah.
It's always
At least if it's a man, you're just like, oh God, shut up.
Right. Just
and it's a
him.
woman. It's like, come on. Whose side are you on?
I know it. I just don't get it. And I usually tell people, like, because a lot of times people be like, well, my boss is a man and I'm really uncomfortable. I'm not sure. Yeah. Usually they're the ones that are like, oh, do what you got to do. Yeah. They don't know.
They don't know. And they don't want to talk about it.
Exactly.
They're like, what? Okay. Yeah. That's what you need. Okay, great. So, okay.
Yeah. It's the women that you got to look out for.
Yeah. Why are you doing that? Why don't you just use formula? It's always about formula too. Like, why are you all so obsessed with formula?
People are obsessed with it.
Like, that's fine. Use it if you want. But like, if somebody is like literally not using it, like, why is it such a problem? And why can't you just be quiet?
But she's got a point where she says, like, you don't deserve to have an opinion about how I feed my baby. Mm-hmm. This is your baby.
Yep.
If you want to give your baby pizza, it's not going to be it's not that good of a choice, but it's what you want to do.
You get to do what you want to do.
Yeah. You get to do what you want to do. It's your baby. But when it comes to pumping at work, you want to have the support that you can have. And it's really hard when you don't have that. And you're already like, she's pumping in a file room. She's got a snarky coworker. Like,
yeah,
come on. It's already hard enough to go back to work. It's hard enough to go back to work.
Yeah. And these are places that are actually, these two people commenting are people that are fairly well supported. Mm-hmm. Like they're, they're getting the time, their bosses know the law, they're providing them with the space, they're protecting them. There's people who's like, people will straight up be like, no, you can't pump. And be like, but you have to allow me to pump. It's the law. And they're like, I don't care. And or it's okay. Go ahead.
Why do you have to pump more than once?
Yeah, right.
You can only pump at certain times. You can't pump every 2 hours. No.
And you could say well, but it's the law. And they're like, I don't care. And of course it's the law and you can get into a battle with them. But oh my God, now you have to get into a battle?
Right.
I have that blog post from my friend who's a Chicago police officer.
Oh my God.
She went toe to toe with every single person around her. And she got so frustrated. She was like, I'm going to put this blog on Abby's blog and I'm going to just like tell everything that's happening. I think she was even interviewed by like WGN.
She totally put them on blast.
Yeah. Which, the Chicago Police Department, it's not exactly like they're always on blast. But, for good reason.
Oh my God.
We have to take a break.
Okay.
And then I also had something else to say.
Okay.
Oh, but okay. Let's do this first. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nursing Queen. Nursing Queen is a badass breastfeeder-owned company with stylish and functional nursing clothing designed to help you breastfeed or pump more comfortably. The thing about Nursing Queen is that you cannot tell it's nursing clothing. The secret is in the hidden zippers and flaps. No pulling, stretching, or lifting needed. It's so much easier for you when you are out and about. And I've been really focused on sweatshirts lately, I guess because it's 30 below outside. But I was looking at their graphic tees the other day, and there's one that says Mama's Boobery Brewing Company with hidden zippers. Like, I guess I figured like, oh, the sweatshirt can have a hidden zipper because it's like thicker material and you can like hide it. This t-shirt has a hidden zipper.
Oh my God.
And the t-shirts they're really cute. There's one that says Mama and then a matching one that says Minnie, and they're the same. And they have like a bunch of different colors of those. So I know y'all now want to go to nursingqueen.com so you can see all of those for yourself. And don't forget to use code BADASS for 10% off of your order. That's nursingqueen.com, and use code BADASS for 10% off. And our sponsors and their promo codes can be found in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. Also, over at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, where you'll find all of our other episodes, our favorite resources page, and information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne.
Yeah, people do it. People do it. Okay, so go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I just like, because I like how both of them seem to be, they understand that consistency is important. And they're both very focused on like spacing out the pumping times and kind of that whole theory of like, you should be pumping when your baby would be feeding.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of setting up those times and keeping consistent with those times. A+ for that.
Yes. Yes. Because you got to do that if you can. I mean, it's not a game changer if you can't, but if you can kind of pump around the same time that your baby's going to eat, that is going to be the best thing for you, for everything, for your supply and everything. So returning to work overall, was that the only messages we had so far? Yeah.
Yes.
So returning to work overall is really hard to do. Like, regardless of how long your maternity leave is for, some people have a short maternity leave and you got to go back at like 6 weeks or sooner than that even. Some people have longer. It's so inconsistent here in the States. I know like in other parts of the world, they have a way better maternity leave. Here we have crap.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be really hard to return to work. And it's not just the pumping piece of it. I mean, pumping's hard enough. But to me, like when I think about the logistics of returning back to work, like getting the bottles, packing everything every day, making sure your pump supplies are clean, making sure you have all your pumping supplies. Like when I worked in the hospital, I remember sometimes we'd get like somebody from a different floor would come down and be like, I left my pump flange at home. Can I have a pump flange? Or I left my valve at home by accident. Can I have can you spare another part for me or whatever? And we would give them parts and stuff because we had pumps obviously. But it is really hard to just keep your act together as a pumping mother, as a return to work parent, and make sure that you have everything that you need to get by for the day. That is really hard to do. So try to make it as easy as you can on yourself. Have an extra set of pump parts at work. Like see if your insurance company will cover it, because you're supposed to be changing out pump parts anyway. And some insurance companies will cover the cost of pump parts. So definitely see if they will cover it. Have spare parts at work. Have an extra set at home. Switch things out. Encourage help from your partner. If they want to know what they can do to help, pack up, the bottles for the next day. Make sure everything is labeled. Make sure things are going in the freezer the way they need to go in the freezer. If you've got milk, if you're freezing milk instead of using it fresh the next day, make sure things are labeled. Make sure, you're putting it where it needs to be. I've had, heard horror stories from people who'd be like, oh, I found a bag of milk under the microwave the other day, and who knows how long it had been there, kind of thing. And it's like, oh my God. But make sure you have help, like incorporate that help where you can get it. And just really concentrate on that connection time you're going to have when you reignite with your baby, because that is where that comes in, like where it makes it all worthwhile, is that when you get your baby back with you. It's just hard. And pumping, some people, like, especially if you're in a stressful situation, it's a situation where you're not well supported. You're not in a really good spot to pump in. You don't have a room. People are walking in on you. You don't have, you've got like a closet. Oh my God. My daughter the other day, my daughter waits tables at Olive Garden.
Mm.
And she had a situation where somebody at her table like had a medical issue and like collapsed and all this stuff.
No.
It was an older lady, and they had to call an ambulance and everything. So my daughter called me like crying. She was just so traumatized. And I'm like, where are you? And she's like, I'm in a closet. She goes, there's this closet. She goes, but my manager told me I could come in this closet, and he put a sign on the door, but the sign says breastfeeding.
Well, no one's coming in.
I know, but it was literally a closet that she was sitting in, just kind of crouched in a corner of a closet. Like, that's what they had for breastfeeding there. At least they had something, but that was what was, like, that's what they have. And sometimes that's all you get is a closet. Right. And you're having to figure out how to manipulate your pump in a closet space. So this can be really stressful. So making sure that you're staying as calm, as relaxed as possible is going to help you. You don't need to pump for half an hour. You can pump for 15 minutes, do what you need to do. You can pump to get milk. You don't have to pump. Like, you can pump, if your baby's taking 3 ounces of milk, pump till you're pumped to 3 ounces, if that's how much milk you're getting. You don't have to pump until no more milk is dripping. You don't have to do that. Mm-hmm. Some people will pump, for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. That's a long time. You can pump for 15 minutes if you need to. You can kind of do the hack where people put their parts in a bag and put that bag in the refrigerator or in a cooler so it stays cold, and take the parts out and reuse them. You don't have to wash your parts every single time you pump when you're at work. And then when you go home at night, make sure you wash them really well. But when you're at work, you don't have to do that. You can just put them in the fridge or put them in a cooler and keep them cold. And that is fine. Nothing's going to happen. Make sure you have a place to store your milk, where nobody's going to touch it or mistake it for coffee creamer or anything like that and use it.
That might be tasty.
I know, it probably would be tasty. Just make sure you have a space for all of that stuff, and kind of get yourself set up before you go back to work. Like, don't walk in on the day that you're returning to work and be like, oh yeah, I need a space. Like, make sure you kind of set this stuff up. And I would personally do it via email. That way you've got everything in writing, and you can kind of correspond that way, especially if you're kind of uncomfortable confronting your boss about this stuff. Doing it via email will be better anyway. And you don't have to be like, hey, get me a space, and it better be nice. Like, you can be like, I'm coming back. I'm going to need, time for pumping. This is what I'm thinking. Like, have a plan.
And the place where you work, like, it's available. Mm-hmm. Like, we would all love to have like a dedicated nursing room with couches and USB ports on the, arm of the chair. And if you work in a place where that doesn't exist, you're not going to make it magically appear.
No.
Like, it's probably going to be not super comfortable. Yeah. Which sucks.
It does. It sucks. Make it as easy as possible. If you've got a job where you can, like how our one Patreon said, I can schedule my pump breaks in, make sure your boss knows, like, this is how my schedule is going to run. I'm going to put pump breaks in and here. And that way I'll be, available for work hours the rest of the time. And so that they know that you're not trying to like screw them over and use time for, get time for free and just like willy-nilly be all over the place and not get your work done. Just make sure they know that like, this is your plan and this is how you're going to do it when you come back. And you can attach the law if you need to, just kind of copy that in if you think you're going to have a problem. Most employers should know by now. When I first started this work as a lactation consultant, it was not a law that parents could pump at work.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way when it comes to that. There's still a ways to go, but we have come a long way. And now I think people are they know now that it's a law. I think most people know that it's a law now, and they have to do something about it. But it's just a stressful situation, just overall. So make sure that you're handling it the best way you can. Get the support where you can get the support. Talk to other like-minded parents. See what kind of tricks and things they're doing. Get the support where you can, because it is a really difficult place to be sometimes when you're a working parent. It just feels like, oh my God, you're doing so much stuff and you're supposed to like keep your mind on your work.
Right.
And you're thinking about your baby, like it's so hard. It's really hard. But
yeah. And if you're like all tense, then it makes it harder to pump.
Yeah, it does. It makes it harder for your milk to let down if you're all tense and stressed. So you really do need to just kind of relax as much as possible.
I know people will like record their baby crying on their phone.
Yeah.
And play it.
Yeah, because it makes your milk let down. Yeah. Yeah, so you can do that. Like if you're changing your baby's diaper and they're crying, just, hit record. You don't have to like pinch them and make them cry.
No, they cry. They cry. You don't ever have to make a baby cry. They're crying. They're just like, if they're not crying right now, they'll cry soon.
Yeah, they'll cry. And then you can record it and it'll be fine. But yeah, so if you have any tips and tricks for the next time we do an episode like this, we'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear your tips on returning to work. Maybe you can help out another parent that is going back to work and is struggling with trying to make things smooth and simple for themselves. So yeah.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.